And that number that you mentioned, one arrested, has actually changed just within the last 30 seconds to about 4 people arrested. Take a look behind me. We're on 4th South, which right now has been shut down. What they did over here was conducted a burnout operation. That's where they intentionally burn all of the vegetation. Fire crews are now letting some of these displaced residents back into their homes to salvage what they can. Schuer's accused of brokering sales of old scriptures like this Book of Mormon and this old hymnal and then pocketing the money. With the push of a button, teachers or administrators can alert an entire campus about any type of threat. Classrooms then lock down and mark themselves safe or unsafe instantly. You can see behind me state road crews still hard at work. They've been at this since about 9 p.m. trying to get through this 30-foot deep avalanche. We're here at the Salt Lake County Elections Office, where as you can see behind me, early voting is happening right now. When you take a panoramic picture with your smartphone, it just takes seconds. But BYU professors have been commissioned to take panoramic pictures of deep space, something that takes a whole lot longer. Crews are expected to be back out around 8 this morning to resume the search for Elizabeth Shelley. The announcement comes after weeks of speculation among church members, kicking off a very busy first day of General Conference. Governor Herbert today visited evacuees of the Dollar Ridge fire, which is picking up more ground because of these high winds. For evacuees of the Dollar Ridge fire,
we're just undecided what we got to do and where we're going to go next.
It's a waiting game.
Well, I never have experienced anything like this.
Some are staying with friends and family.
So we're looking towards a neighbor that was on the other side of the fire line so we could spend the night at their house.
Others are camping along Highway 40, watching as these beloved hills burn.
We're just camping out right off the highway.
There's not much you can do about the fire. It's going to burn until it burns out probably. But
I'm thankful we have some great neighbors and friends that have helped us.
Neighbors that have brought food, water, and other necessities to Duchesne High School, where many evacuees are being housed. Some are staying in tents behind the school to be with their pets. The Red Cross, helping them, says they're in need of food and supplies, as well as dog crates for displaced animals. Governor Gary Herbert today toured the devastation.
I've been able to see it up close and personal, and I think we're in a good spot, better than I thought when I flew up here. But boy, it can change overnight.
In all, the governor estimates 20 to 30 structures damaged or destroyed by this human-caused fire, which now has a taxpayer price tag of close to $2 million and climbing.
It's just a very sad thing.
For Gisela Brereton, who survived World War II in her homeland of Germany, only this disaster compares to that scary time in her childhood as she waits to find out what's become of her home.
Everything is still okay, and I hope it stays that way. And if not, we have to go from there.
Governor Herbert also warned everyone to stay out of the evacuation zone. If you don't, you could face up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. All of the books and all of the prayers could never have prepared Rabbi Avremi Zippel for coming to terms with what he says happened to him as a child.
Initially, it was disbelief. Initially it was, that's not me. That's not my story.
He's an Orthodox Jew.
It's the life that I've always known.
A follower of God's commandments. But for the decade, his childhood nanny, Alavina Florike, allegedly sexually abused him.
It's an intense loneliness.
Zippel says the child in him who enjoyed video games, sports, and synagogue died.
I think it's the murder of the soul. It leads you to feel damaged and just violated in the most intense way possible.
Florike is charged with 5 counts of aggravated sex abuse for incidents that allegedly occurred more than 130 times. Probable cause statements say during the abuse, Florike, quote, convinced him that she was teaching him to be a good husband. Florike further stated it was all part of the boy's curiosity, and it was just him learning. Zippel, who helps lead Chabad Lubavitch Synagogue, says the Me Too movement inspired him to come out.
My faith in God is really what gave me a lot of the tools to make it to where I am today.
Rabbi Zippel says he wanted to tell his story both in the courtroom and out to help other survivors know they're not alone. Today, the 27-year-old is married with a family and is being hailed as a hero by another prominent child sex abuse survivor, Elizabeth Smart. He says taking the shame away is the key to his survival.
Just keep the conversation going. Don't let it die.
In Salt Lake City, Andrew Reeser, ABC4 News. The Coal Hollow fire not only burned much of this land, but it also burned into the profits of several cattlemen in this area.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
From sunup to sundown, they ride.
It's going to be fine.
74-year-old Eldon Neves.
It's pretty hard.
Dropping salt licks.
Salt just pulls them up on the hill.
And truth bombs.
There's no sense in crying about something. You just do what needs to be done.
Till the cows come home. He's a victim of fire.
I probably cussed a couple of times, and you think, well, we're going to get this done.
So far, a large portion of his 468 cows are unaccounted for. He's sure about 10 of them perished in the flames.
What happened, they tried to come up out of the fire, and then the smoke got them, and they just simply died there.
One burned so badly there was no escape from the flooding that came later.
And I found her with her feet all burned off. Her hooves actually came off, because I think she was just torn to pieces.
He says he's projecting he'll lose tens of thousands of dollars because of dead and underweight cattle. Today, he's driving what remains from partly burned areas in the Manti-La Salle National Forest to greener pastures. And while the U.S. Forest Service and ranchers are working together, the USDA requires proof of disaster, which is proving difficult for Neves.
In many cases, I won't be able to prove that they were killed because we won't be able to find them.
But this is his passion.
If you consider the monetary cost of what you're doing, it's not very smart, but it just kind of gets in your blood.
And like the land around him, he knows he can flourish.
I just love doing it.
After the fire. In Utah County, Andrew Reeser, News 4, Utah.